Well, this video, guys, is about building a Chinese internet bike. And the reason why I want to do this video is because the main bicycle manufacturers over the last couple of years have really jacked the price up. Now, I do understand there's high inflation rate at the moment, and there's also a shortage of availability. And the manufacturers probably believe that these price rises are representative of the availability and the price increases that are going around with all of the products that we're consuming on the market. But on the flip side of that, there is these direct from manufacturers Chinese products that offer considerably for less a similar type of quality or approaching that type of quality. So as a internet bike, let's build an internet bike and let's price up what would it cost to use a Winspace frame and some Sensah Empire Pro, put it all together, add all the little extras on and the wheels, and let's just see what is the damage to our hip pocket. Now, I did some pricing, and the pricing is to get a complete bike. So the price is going to also include taking that bike and those bits and pieces to a local bike shop, and they will build it up for us. So we're buying this stuff. We don't need to have the complexity of building the bike. I've put that price into the estimate that someone will put that bike together for us. So I've just got some notes here at the side which I'm going to reference, so we've got all the figures at hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with Winspace. Most of the products we're going to use are Winspace. Winspace have got a pretty good reputation at the moment, and they're not the cheapest Chinese product on the market, but I think that they're a reputable product and it's something that people would feel comfortable buying. So to start off, I'm going to look not at the aero version, at their climbing bike, which is fairly light, and that's the Winspace SLC2. And I've picked the 58 centimeter frame, and I also went for this black finish, and they charge you extra $100 for that. So that's $15.80 if you go onto their website. And for me, I'd probably buy a 58 centimeter frame. One thing to be aware of with Winspace is their framing sizes are a little bit unusual. They don't follow all of the standard designs. So if you go there, don't just quickly click onto their website, click onto the cart, drop your bike frame into the cart. Talk to the service people there, because the framing or the way they measure their frames is not in following of a lot of the other brands. So make sure you're getting the right frame that fits you. Okay, so that price is $15.80. So ka-ching, we'll just lock that in. Now we're going to shoot over to Aliexpress, because I can't seem to find a website for Sensah on the internet. They seem to only be dealing through Aliexpress. They do have some fluctuating specials going on all the time. It's a bit confusing about what actually the price is. But there was a special on at a lower price, but I didn't accept that because it looked a bit dodgy. May have been a pretend website, I don't know. But the one that I picked did have a special on, and that came out to $426 US. And that's for the 12-speed disc complete group set. Now, that we can have fitted onto the frame. And what I also included from Winspace is their cheaper or their more budget wheels, and that's the Lund wheels, and they are a more affordable wheel, and they're $798 US. So what I did is, as well, is when we get a bike, we always know when we take a bike out of the bike shop, the ticket price is never the price we end up spending. We always a few bibs and bobs to put on it, and we've got bar tape, and we've got a seat, and there's probably a few other things I'm missing. Maybe there's a few little things that you need to buy to get that group set to fit on the Winspace frame. Maybe the bottom brackets need an adapter, whatever. So I allowed a extra $500 US for bibs and bobs to get all that stuff on your bike, so you have got a complete bike. Now, I also allowed a installation cost. Now, the local bike shops here in Perth charge around about $200 to build up a bike, so I allowed that. It may cost you a bit more or a bit less wherever you live, and I allowed $138 USD for that. So that's pretty much. Oh, hang on. There's one thing I forgot is the handlebars. Now, I bought the integrated Aero Winspace handlebars. Now, these are pretty pricey. You could probably get away with a normal stem and handlebar set, aluminium handlebar set for a lot less. But I used this one because it's a ticketed price and it's also a Chinese brand, and that was $290. So that's everything in our cart ready to go. So in conclusion, what is the sum total that we're going to have to reach in our pocket and pull out and lay on the table? Now, the final pricing I got here was $3,736. Now, that still sounds fairly pricey for a bike. And here in Australia, our Aussie dollar is pretty weak against the US at the moment. So that'd probably come out around about 5,000. And that was typically what you could get for a kind of Ultegra type giant bike maybe a few years ago. So that is comparable to what you probably would have got, is not the top tier giant, but the next one down when they were still doing rim brakes and all that, probably about 5 years ago. So that pricing there, you're getting, I would say, an equivalent performance bike of what that would have been. Not the top tier bike, but the next tier down. And you're getting that cheaper than you would have to pay for a bike now that's got 105 on it. Most of the bikes now with 105 on it are getting fairly expensive. Now, obviously, there's none out in the wild and there's no ticketed price on those bikes currently, but you may be able to hunt around, and some of the brands may be already quoting prices with the new 105 on it, with the Di2 and the disc brakes. But this bike that I've quoted here is 12-speed, and it's also disc brake bike. So it's the latest technology. The only thing you're not getting is the electronic shifting. And I think that's a pretty fair and reasonable price compared to what the manufacturers are offering now. So guys, if you've got any things that you'd like to add to that, or any of you guys have built up a Chinese bike and what are your reports on that? I know that Winspace quality is pretty good. I'm not so certain about the Sensah Empire, but from what I've seen, I think it's worth dipping your toe to give it a go. And a lot of people are reporting that it shifts pretty well. The only thing that I see is the two biggest issues with the Sensah Empire Pro is the packaging of it and the adaptability. That can be a bit iffy. And also the people are complaining about the hoods. The hoods are a bit ordinary. So that's probably the two biggest complaints about that group set. But considering what you're paying for it, I think that that's a pretty reasonable trade-off when you consider that we're paying $400 US, well, say $500 US for this group set out of China, and we've got to pay $1,800 US for 105 group set. Well, anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I will see you next vid. Cheers.